finish. And, of course, finishing is one of our 7 F's that we talk about here at Prairie View A&M, and we didn't do a good enough job of finishing. But a lack of execution, I think, in all 3 phases led to our demise. And, of course, against a team such as Grambling, who's playing really good football right now, you can't make the type of mistakes that we made and still expect to win the game. So, for us this week, it's about getting back to the drawing board, getting back to our fundamentals, and being true to who we believe we are, and being able to play good football against a good Alabama State football team for our homecoming.
So you joined the SWAC in 2012 as a member of Jay Hobson's coaching staff at Alcorn. How did the experience of being on Hobson's staff prepare you for your current position as head coach of the Panthers?
It was a great experience for me. Jay's a great football coach. It was a great mentor for me and other coaches up under him. We learned a lot. We went into Alcorn with a lot of challenges. We didn't have spring practice because we got there basically at the first of the summer. So basically had a brand new football team who we didn't know anything about. Had a freshman quarterback in John Gibbs, had a lot of true freshman guys playing that year. And we took our lumps. Won 4 games by probably a total of about 14 points. So we were very close to being 0-11 that first year. But it taught us a lot about overcoming adversity. It taught us a lot about not making excuses for our situations, and really made all of us better coaches. And so that first year really made me grow as a coach, probably more so than any other time in my coaching career. And then, of course, after that, we got everybody on the same page as far as the players, made them believe in what we were trying to build there, and subsequently won, 2 straight SWAC championships. So, again, it was a great learning experience for me. And, again, being up under Jay and being at a school like Alcorn, who doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but has just enough to get the job done. So coming here at a place that has the ability to have great facilities, which we do now, and great resources, it makes you a little bit more appreciative of what you have now, knowing that you came from a place that doesn't necessarily have as much.
Now, talking resources, how does a place like Prairie View compare to an Alcorn from a facility and support standpoint?
Well, the biggest difference now is the fact that ours are new. We just built a brand new $61 million stadium, state of the art, with a brand new locker room, training room, weight room, equipment room, the whole 9. And we're probably the second of our type. Alabama State did it a few years ago, and they have a first class facility down there in Montgomery. But like I said, the biggest difference, is I think with Prairie View being a part of the A&M system, I think we have a little bit more backing from the state, maybe than a lot of the other state schools in the SWAC. And our student body made a sacrifice to tax themselves to raise their own tuition, for the next 20 to 30 years to pay this thing off. So, but again, it's been a great struggle for a long time. It's been a long time coming. This isn't something that happened overnight. This is something that's been in the works for probably 15 to 20 years, and we finally seeing it come into fruition. So it's definitely a great time right now on the Hill, and we're excited to be able to play our second game in our brand new stadium, being that we opened up the first game of the season against Texas Southern.
This is the HBCU Report, being heard via Spreaker.com. We are powered by SportsNewsandBrews.com, your source of sports, black news, political news, and the latest on your favorite craft beers. Log on to SportsNewsandBrews.com right now. This is the HBCU Report. Rob Calloway on the line with Willie Simmons. He is the head football coach of the Prairie View A&M Panthers. They are in action today at 2 o'clock versus the Alabama State University Hornets. And, Coach, not to overlook the SWAC East, because, of course, the SWAC East, I don't know. It's just always up for grabs. But not to overlook those guys. But when I look at the SWAC West, I see Grambling, and I see Coach Broderick Fobbs has those guys running, full speed ahead. Then I see Southern University. Coach Dawson Odoms has those guys moving in the right direction. Then I look at the Panthers of Prairie View. I say, Coach Willie Simmons, he's got these guys moving right along. Even Texas Southerners in the mix. But hell, I look at Arkansas Pine Bluff out there in the West, and the Golden Lions have the top-rated passing game in the conference. So what are your thoughts on the competitiveness in the SWAC West?
Well, I tell everybody, I talk about it all the time. The SWAC West is equivalent to the SEC West.
Absolutely.
There's some really good football teams in this league, some really good players, and some outstanding coaches, not just in the West but across the league. But I think you look this year, you have 5 teams on this side that are all battling and playing really good football. 1 week this year, which I don't know if it's ever happened in the history of the conference. I guess I have to ask Dwayne to check and see. But 1 week, all 5 teams on the West beat all 5 teams on the East. and that's unheard of. But it shows the depth that we have on this side, and the East right now. I think every team on that side has at least one loss, and so it's conceivable that whoever comes out of that side might have 2 or 3 losses, where the winner of this side probably can't lose more than one game. And so it's definitely a competitive division. And, of course, we know that every week we have to bring our A game because, like I tell the guys all the time, I mean, you lose a game in this conference, whether it's on the East side or the West, I mean, it pretty much knocks you out of contention, being that we're playing in such a tough competitive division here in the SWAC West.
So the 2016 Prairie View squad comes into this weekend with an overall record of 3-2, 3-1 in the SWAC. Now, if you had to grade your team thus far through 5 games into the season compared to where you were at this point last season, how would you grade your offense and defense?
Well, I think it's a tale of 2 years. Last year this time, if you had asked me to grade the team, I would grade the offense pretty high and the defense not so much. Special teams, we were probably middle of the pack. This year, it's the opposite. I think defense is playing at a pretty high level. I think we had a letdown last week against Grambling, but all the other games in the conference, I thought we played very well. Offensively, we're struggling, and so like I said, it's a tale of 2 years. And then the same thing, special teams, we're probably playing about middle of the pack. Haven't done anything spectacular other than the punt return against Mississippi Valley. So we like to see the offense get going. Definitely, hopefully, we can get that this weekend. And we'd like to see the special teams, step up and make more plays. Defensively, I think we can get back to our consistency level. We'll be fine on that side. So, overall, I mean, we're 3-1, so you can't complain about where you are right now. You just got to keep working to get better, and hopefully this team, will continue to do so.
This is the HBCU Report. Rob Calloway on the line right now with Willie Simmons. He is the head football coach of the Prairie View A&M Panthers. The Panthers in action today, 2 o'clock. Versus the Alabama State University Hornets. It is homecoming on the campus of Prairie View A&M. And don't forget the HBCU Report is powered by sportsnewsandbrews.com, your source for sports, black news, political news, and the latest on your favorite craft beers. Log on to sportsnewsandbrews.com right now. Well, maybe not right now. After the interview, you can log on to Sports News and Brews. All right. So finally, Coach, this weekend, you face a Bama State squad that picked up their first win of the season last week versus Arkansas Pine Bluff. What do you expect this weekend when you face Brian Jenkins and those Bama State Hornets?
You expect the hard-nosed football team. He's a great football coach, has a great track record. He went into the MEAC and pretty much dominated that league for 4 years. And, came here and last year, all 4 of his losses were to probably the top 4 teams in the league. And subsequently, he had all of them at home last year. So lost to us, lost to Alcorn, lost to Southern, and lost to Grambling. And so he lost to 4 pretty good football teams. So you look at their record, you say, they were 5-4 in the league. That's not very good. Well, it was pretty good considering who they played and who they lost to. And so this year, they're off to a slow start. But again, lost some out of conference games, tough out of conference games. Lost the conference opener to Alcorn in a tough, close football game. And then I think let one against Texas Southern slip away from them. So they're a dangerous football team. I think they're starting to hit their stride about mid-season. Offensively, they're doing some good things now. Quarterback's playing a little bit better. Defensively, of course, they have arguably the top defensive player in our conference, and Courtney Berry's been a 3-time first-team All-SWAC guy. He doesn't have the tackling stats that he's had the last few years, but, again, he's definitely a player that you got to know where he is at all times. So they're a dangerous team because they have good football players, and they have good coaching, and so whenever you can combine those two, you always have to, be mindful of that, and they have revenge in their minds being that we came into their home and beat us last year, so I'm sure they want to play homecoming spoiler this week.
All right, great stuff right there, Coach, man. We really appreciate it. Good luck versus Bama State, and we look forward to talking to you before the end of the season, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, he is Willie Simmons, head football coach of the Prairie View A&M Panthers. Again, it is homecoming at Prairie View, and they host Brian Jenkins and the Alabama State Hornets. Of course, you know me. I'm a Hornet for life. It's always a great time to be a Hornet. So I'm screaming, go Hornets, to the day that I die. All right, so here's an interesting stat going back to last season for Prairie View. After losing to Grambling last season on September 26th, the Panthers reeled off 6 straight wins to close the season. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if they can accomplish a similar feat this year. The only roadblock that I see for these guys moving forward is that they actually have to face another FBS opponent in Rice in the next 2 weeks. So I'm not really sure how that's going to pan out for them, but I wish them nothing but the best. Coach Willie Simmons is definitely a good guy. This is the HBCU Report, being powered by sportsnewsandbrews.com, your source for sports, black news, political news, and the latest on your favorite craft beers. Log on to sportsnewsandbrews.com. Now, coming up, we're going to put a bow on this thing, man. Going to take a look at some of the notable games for today. And any of my last thoughts that I need to regurgitate, I'll do that as well. This is the HBCU Report with Rob Calloway, powered by Sports News and Brews. In addition to Spreaker, we can be heard via iTunes, TuneIn, and Google Play Music. The HBCU Report is officially everywhere you are.
The HBCU experience lives here. The HBCU Report with Rob Calloway. We'll be right back.
I heard on the news about that 5-year-old who found his uncle's gun. The kid didn't know it was loaded.
I heard on the news about that 14-year-old girl who was bullied online. For like a year, she couldn't take it anymore, so she got her dad's gun from his nightstand.
I heard on the news about that guy who broke into someone's house, stole a gun from the hall closet.
He accidentally shot his cousin in the head.
She killed herself.
And later, killed the owner of the store he was trying to rob.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Connecting the SWAC, the MEAC, SIAC, and the CIAA. The HBCU experience lives here. It's the HBCU Report with Rob Calloway.
This is the HBCU Report. Rob Calloway closing out this week's show. Big shouts out to this week's guest, Brian Jenkins of Alabama State University, and also Willie Simmons of Prairie View A&M. Also got to send big shouts out to the homie Big Mike from One Mike with Big Mike. You can check him out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on Spreaker.com, 7 to 9 p.m. This dude is a fool, man. Hit me up talking about it's early and I expect to be entertained. Good luck with that one, Big Mike. But I'm glad to know that you're up and checking me out this morning. For those of you that don't know who Big Mike is, man, we go way back. Way back. You can Google us, Sports Kings Radio. Google us, see what comes up. Probably nothing, but he was chiming in during the interview with Coach Simmons. And, of course, Prairie View had the dubious distinction of losing. I think they lost, 15 years in a row? I think they went 0-56 at one point and 0-60-something at one point. And so Mike was asking about the stadiums, and then he said the 7 Fs, one of them must be F winning. No, man, actually, Coach Willie Simmons got these boys on the right track. Yeah, they won 9 games last year and were a game away from representing the West in the SWAC championship game. So big shouts out to Coach Willie Simmons doing big things down there in Prairie View. All right, so a couple of notable games for today. You got Hampton and Delaware State in action. You got Bama State and Prairie View, as we've been talking today. Benedict College looks to turn things around and get back in the win column versus Lane. Then you have the 81st Morehouse Tuskegee Classic that goes down in Columbus, Georgia. That's always a big one. But big shouts out to all my folks up on the hill, all my folks up in Huntsville, Alabama. Alabama A&M University homecoming this weekend going down, and they host Alcorn State. Is that right? Yeah, they host Alcorn State. And so big shouts out to them, man. Couple of weeks, 3 weeks away from the Magic City Classic, the world's greatest classic. Happens in Birmingham in 3 weeks, and I'm very excited about that. All right, so don't forget, the President Barack Obama, is going to be on ESPN 10 o'clock from North Carolina A&T. It's called A Conversation with the President, Sports, Race, and Achievement. 10 o'clock. Make sure you check that out. I'm going to be tuned in, and we're going to talk about it next Saturday right here on the HBCU Report. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HBCU Report. And don't forget that this show, the HBCU Report, can be heard in addition to Spreaker. We can be heard on iTunes, TuneIn, and Google Play Music for you Android lovers out there. And the HBCU Report is powered by sportsnewsandbrews.com, your official source for sports, black news, political news, and the latest on your favorite craft beers. Log on to sportsnewsandbrews.com. And until